1.6, describing pairs of angles. Right? So, this is the last thing that's on your quiz and your test. When's your quiz? Friday. We're going to learn how to identify complementary and supplementary angles, linear pairs of vertical angles. You don't have to turn in your student journal. You're going to get that back tomorrow. Okay, because who has your student journal?
You.
Moi. All right?
I have mine.
Well, if you have yours, then congratulations. First word we're going to learn is adjacent. You want to write this down? Adjacent angles, two angles that share a common vertex and side, but have no common interior points. I'll bring this to a real-life example in a minute. All right? Two angles that share a common vertex and side, but have no common interior points. All right, so I'll tell you who is adjacent to my classroom. Okay, and let's see if you can figure out what adjacent means. Miss Belk's classroom is adjacent to my classroom. Miss Hatt's room is not adjacent to my classroom. What is the big difference between those two rooms?
They're connected.
Coming from you, Miss Belk, and your room, right?
You guys are connected.
The rooms are connected.
Yeah, my rooms are connected. My room's connected to Miss Belk. My room is not connected to Miss Hatt. Although, yes, our rooms are on opposite sides of the hall. But let's think about Miss Judd's room. Not adjacent to my room because we don't share a wall. What other room am I adjacent to? Coach Cosin, who else? What else?
The lunchroom.
The lunchroom, the cafeteria.
Nasty.
All right. Adjacent means they share a wall. Okay? Share a wall. So I'm going to ask you eventually what adjacent means. If you want to write down in layman's terms, it literally means share a wall. Okay? Share a wall. It'll look like this in geometry. Okay? You've seen this before in your pictures, this left picture. And then non-adjacent means they don't share a wall. So Mr. Hersey is non-adjacent to me. Miss Hatt is non-adjacent to me. What else is there?
Coach Hersey and Miss Hatt's adjacent.
Yeah, Coach Hersey and Miss Hatt are adjacent to each other. Perfect. Yeah. So that's that word. Okay? Next. There's your common side. Boom. There's your common vertex. Ta-da. All right, look at this pizza. Okay, the vertex would be this corner of the pizza. It shares this lovely wall. I know I'm very hungry too. I'm not a big fan of, it's either hamburger or sausage, and I ain't about that. So.
Pineapple.
All right, next one, complementary. Oh, I do like that on pizza. Complementary. So here's what I want you to write. Two angles with a sum of 90. Two angles, you want to write it, complementary. Two angles with a sum of 90. Two angles with a sum of 90. Two angles with a sum of 90. What does sum mean?
Like two things added together.
The answer to an addition problem. So yes, two things, two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So here's the big difference. Y'all see what I just wrote? What's the spelling difference between this one and the one that we're doing? There's an E, and here there's an I. So here's,
Like when I said your hair looked good.
yes, that is a compliment, because I like compliments. You can be the biggest, baddest boy at Trinity Christian Academy. I don't care. Everyone likes a compliment. Hey, you did great in the game Friday. Boom. He likes that, yes?
I love it.
Okay, you love it. All right. I like compliments. Okay? When you see compliment with that E, all right, that means like the addition to something. Like the complimentary breakfast at a hotel, yes? Hopefully you've all been to one. That means the breakfast is added to your stay there. You can get free breakfast. Okay? So remember the difference? You're looking at me and you're like, man, Miss Marshall, this is not a grammar class. But guess what? Someday you will graduate high school, yes?
Yes.
Okay, prayerfully.
Hopefully really fast.
A lot of prayer on Jackson's part. But we will make it, and someday you will get a job or you'll be a bum. So when you get that job, you will most likely be sending emails. Yes, you will, most likely. My husband works at construction sites, and he still sends emails. Guess what? When you send those emails, the person receiving them will judge you by your grammar. They may not flat out say it. They may not intentionally do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I get an email from a parent and has not a lick of punctuation, I already know things about them. Yes?
Yes.
I know that what are they doing? Okay? I know that they're probably not the most educated person. Okay? Or they could be very old, or they could not be from America, or something like that. But here's the thing. Is this called, homophone?
Punctuation.
Homophone, they sound the same, but they mean different things. So complements with an E means an addition. So if I see you write complement with an I, you're wrong. So sit in your wrongness and be wrong. Okay. All right. So complementary angles can be adjacent or non-adjacent. So let's look at some examples. All right. These are adjacent. Okay. There are two angles that come together and form 90. All right. Pick a number between 1 and 90. 12. Which would make the other angle how many degrees? Yes, you're correct.
Good job. That was crazy. That was crazy.
All right, look at this. Here's a big difference. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. Is this angle a pair of complementary angles?
Yes.
Listen to how I said that. A pair of complementary angles.
Yes.
What does pair mean?
2.
2. So do two angles make up the angle I just drew? No. How many angles do? 1, and it's 90 degrees. So that makes it what kind of angle? A right angle. Right angle? Complementary angles with an S. Okay? Pair means you have a pair of shoes. Hopefully you have 2 shoes. Hopefully. Some people don't. But you have 2 shoes. That means 2 angles. All right? Here is a pair of non-adjacent. Guess what? They can still be complementary. Give me another number between 1 and 90.
21.
45. 45.
So then you get 68 degrees.
9.
All right, so those are complementary to each other. Let's look at our example on the bottom. Name an angle complementary to 41. So how would I figure out what angle is complementary to it? It's not on your paper.
Subtract.
Subtract from
90.
90. So 90 minus 41 should be 49 degrees. If you wanted to find it'll say complement. It won't even say area. Okay? Name an angle complementary to 41 degrees. You subtract from 90. Okay? Another word. Oh, and here's a pair. A clock. This is actually a picture I found off the internet. I did not take this picture. I don't have a flower clock sitting at my house. No, thank you. You're a nasty looking clock. You're a wonderful looking clock.
Are you recording? Oh, brother.
Supplementary. So this is the other name we're looking at. Supplementary. Okay, 2 angles that add up to 180. Write it down. 2 angles that add up to 180. 2 angles that add up to 180. I also want you to write that they can be adjacent or non-adjacent. There's a reason that this is important. So there are 2 angles that add up to 180. They can be adjacent or non-adjacent. You can also point to complementary angles because they can be adjacent or non-adjacent as well. But the reason that it's important is because we're going to have a question later on in your frequently asked questions section, and it says, what's the difference between these 2 things? You need to know this fact, and I'll say it again later. All right, so supplementary angles add up to 180. What does a 180-degree angle look like? Oh, what kind of a line? Straight line. So, okay. So here's what I also want you to write. Man, she's just making us write so much. I'm just trying to save you from pain later.
It's okay, Miss Marshall.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so complementary
What?
looks like a corner. Corner. Supplementary, I want you to write, because supplementary will end up looking like a straight. We can call it, I would rather say angle, just so you're not confused. Straight angle. Or you could just say straight. Complementary, corner. Supplementary, straight. So what do you notice about those 2 things?
They're different.
They're different. CC, complementary, corner. Supplementary, straight. That's the reason I show you that. Because it'll say a word problem. It'll say these 2 angles are supplementary. One of them is, look at the bottom. Name an angle supplementary to 41 degrees. Well, if you don't know what supplementary is,
How you know what that?
you won't know. Okay, you're going to mess up.
Because S
Right?
means straight and C means corner.
Yep, there you go. All right, so they can be adjacent or non-adjacent. These are adjacent. They share a wall. What does this picture look like to you?
A line with a line.
Some people describe it to me, and I'll show you what they say. What does it look like now when I flip it upside down?
T.
A T. So what you want to look for is an upside down T. Okay, that's what I tell people. Upside down T's, those are supplementary because angle 5 and angle 6 make 180. Choose a number between 1 and 180.
75.
75, sure. This will be inaccurate. But 75 degrees, all right, so then that makes the other angle 105 degrees because they add up to 180. Okay? This picture would not be, that hurts. Did you say that hurts?
No.
Okay.
I can't do that in my head.
Oh, well. Anyways, all right, now an adjacent. So you can do the same thing again. If we had, I'll use the same number so we don't hurt your head, Josiah. 105 degrees, just kidding. And 75 degrees. Okay, again, that makes them supplementary. Yes? Yes, they are. No, they're non-adjacent. Okay, but that's still fine. They add to 180. That makes them supplementary. Name an angle supplementary of 41 degrees. What would we do to figure that out? Subtract from 180. 180 minus 41, which would be 139. If my change is $139 and you give me $39, I'm going to be an unhappy customer. All right? Supplementary angles. So if you look at this picture, focus. It'll have both what we're talking about. Supplementary, let's look. We got a straight line down here. Yes, we agree? That's straight. Okay? You can actually have more than two angles be supplementary. You see how 1, 2, 3 angles, they come together and they form this straight. Y'all see? We see? A complementary, so this was supplementary, because it looks like what? A straight line. All right, and then let's see complementary. Let's do this. Well, I guess this bottom corner. You what?
Is that yours, Miss Marshall?
It is not. It's from the internet, actually. So do you see how this thing is? That's a corner, yes. Here's a right angle, and here's an angle cutting through. So these are a pair of complementary angles. All right, it is a lot of angles. All right, and we're going to talk about those again later. This is your example 1. In the figure, name a pair of complementary. So we're going to name a pair of complementary, supplementary, and a pair of adjacent angles. Complementary means what, again? Corner, yes, that's what we're looking for, but what else?
90.
They add up to 90. Please don't just say 90 to me, because that does not mean the same thing. They add up to 90, so we're going to name 2 angles. If we look at this angle, 127, will it ever be complementary with another angle?
No.
No, because why?
It can't add up to 90.
It can't add up to 90, it's already bigger than 90. All right, so not that one. 37 and 53, what do those two make? 90. So they are complementary. So we're going to name them. When you name an angle, you always say the angle symbol. Make sure you list that this is complementary. Yep. Complementary angle. So what do we name let's name the angle on the left.
CAB.
CAB. You could also name it BAC, yes. And then the angle on the right.
TSR.
Sure, TSR, which we could also say RST. Those are the only pair of complementary.
Can we name angle S?
Yes, you could have actually named it angle S. Why could he have named it angle S instead of RST?
Because that's the vertex.
Because that's the vertex. How many angles are at angle S? Just one of them. How many angles are at angle A? 2 angles. This angle and this angle. All right? So yes, you could have said angle S. That's a good question. It's the first one today, but then again, it's second hour. Supplementary, what does that mean?
Straight line.
They add up to 180. All right, so let's look. 127, it's a fairly large number. Does 127 plus 37 make 180? No, I already know that because a straight line would look like this. At 37 degrees does not form that straight line. What about 53 and 127? Yes, I agree. So we need to name them. So name the left angle. CAD. And then the right angle. RST, which we could name TSR or angle S, like Jackson figured out. He is very smart. All right, last one. Pair of adjacent angles. Make sure you have your parents listen to this, because then you have proof, you know. My teacher said I was smart. Adjacent means they share what? A wall. All right, so that's what we're looking for. Do we see a pair of angles that share a wall?
Yes.
Yes. We see them on the left side of the picture. Yep, BAD is one angle that's cut into two. We just need to name each individual angle, though.
BAC.
Sure, BAC and angle
CAD.
CA, I agree. D. Questions on this? This is actually the section that students do the worst on, for real. So here's why. There's going to also possibly be an angle that's already 90 degrees. Okay, if this angle were here, let's say it was MNO, all right, is this angle complementary? No, because complementary are how many angles? Two angles, a pair of them that add up to 90. This one's just straight up a 90-degree angle, which makes it a right angle. So that's not the case. All right, that's why. People see that and they're like, oh, that's a complementary angle. No, complementary angles. All right. The second part, name a complement and a supplement. Angle 1 is a complement. What does complement mean to me? Two angles that add up to 90. All right, which means how do we find the measure of angle 2?
You subtract
90 from 90
Yeah.
by 62.
You take 90 and subtract the angle we already have, which is 62, and we get 28 degrees.
28.
Oh, they're recording. She's recording.
I am recording. All right, the second part. Angle 3 is a supplement of angle 4. So supplement means what?
180.
Nope, it means what? They add up to 180. Don't just say 180 to me.
Sorry. Child abuse.
It's not child abuse. 180 is a straight angle. Okay? It's not child abuse. I am legitimately recording. I tossed a Nerf ball to his desk. To those who are listening. Alright, so how do we find the measure of angle 3? 180 minus, what number did I say? 47. Alright, so we get 133. Y'all need to get better at subtraction.
Are we your favorite class, Miss Marshall?
I don't have favorites. I have least favorites. Alright, questions about this?
Don't point at me, Carl.
Yeah.
Alright, so here's what I want you to do. Focus. First off, we have very little time, and this is only half the lesson. Okay? We got things to do. Vertical angles. What I want you to do is go to the very back. Interesting.
Are we your least favorite class?
Can you focus for 2 seconds? Go to the very back. Alright, I want you to draw the picture that's about to pop up on the screen. This one. Draw it. I don't care where. Just draw it. As much as you want. I don't care. Literally draw it. That's all I'm asking. Right there. There you go. Look, blank paper. Look at that. Didn't take very long. So I want you to split up a section for vertical angles and a section. So, So draw like a column. On one side, you're going to do vertical angles. On the other side, we're going to do a linear pair. Okay, we're going to use this picture for both of them, though. All right, so vertical angles. Two angles are vertical angles if their sides form a pair of opposite rays. So if we look at this, I want you to write vertical angles. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Okay, here's what it means by they're formed by two pairs of opposite rays. How did you draw the picture that you have on your paper? An X. You drew a straight line and then you drew another straight line, yes? This is how you form opposite rays. Opposite rays have the same endpoint. They go in opposite directions and they're on the same line. So is what I've just drawn in orange, is that an opposite ray or a pair of them? Yes, it is. All right, and then the same going the other direction. So because of this, the angles across from each other are going to be vertical angles. So what I want you to see, vertical starts with what letter? V. What does it look like when I just highlighted this angle? A V, and it's across from this angle, which also looks like an upside down V. Okay, so whenever you find vertical angles, you want to look for the letter V. Okay, so vertical angles are angles 1 and 3. What are the other angles that are listed?
4 and 2.
4 and 2. All right, so I'm just going to draw an extra example so you can see. Let's say 5, 6, 7, 8. Angle 5, what would angle 5 be vertical with? Angle 8. Angle 8. Because they're across from each other. which would mean angle 7 and angle 6. All right, vertical. They're across from each other, and you should be looking for the letter V. All right, so to show you again, y'all see how there's a V here and here. Boom, boom. All right, so those are vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. I need you to write that down. I need you to box the word congruent. What does the word congruent mean? Same what, CJ? Class, same what? Measure. Thank you, Rose. Same measure. You need to make sure you know that means same measure. So vertical angles are congruent. So that means whatever angle 1 is, angle 3 will be the same. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. I'm pretty sure that actually pops up. All right, and what about angle 4?
Angle 4 is congruent to angle 2.
It's congruent to angle 2. So angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. All right, so vertical angles are congruent. You'll still look for that letter V. The second portion of this picture, so you'll move over. We're going to talk about linear pairs, okay, using the same picture. All right, you didn't list any of the vertical angles. I suggest that you do. All right, think of a railroad crossing. Do you see how it creates like an X type? Do you see? The left and the right, left and the right, those are vertical. The up and the down, those are vertical angles as well. Okay? This is the same picture as vertical angles. Okay? So if you did not write down whatever you needed to write down, it's over here. So if you didn't write down which pairs were vertical angles, they're written right there. A linear pair. Two adjacent angles are a linear pair if their non-common sides are opposite rays. All right, so looks like that upside down T. Okay, that upside down T. So linear pairs, they form, what do they look like when they come together? A line. They look like a line. What do we know about lines? They're straight and they're what? They're 180 degrees. All right, so the sum of the measure of the angles that form a linear pair is 180 degrees. What else do we know is 180 degrees? Y'all, you just wrote it down. What kind of angles add up to 180 degrees? Supplementary angles. Thank you. Ding, ding, ding. Supplementary angles. But here's the main difference, and I'm going to ask you again later. Linear pairs, what do they have to be? Read the sentence again. Adjacent, what does adjacent mean?
No.
They have the same vertex and the same wall, same side. Okay? Do supplementary angles always have to be adjacent? No, you wrote down that they're adjacent or non-adjacent. Whereas linear pairs, they have to be adjacent. So we're going to use that same picture that you used before, this on the left. Okay, and we're going to name pairs of linear pairs. Pairs of linear pairs. When you name a pair, how many should you name? 2. All right, so let's start with angle 1. Okay, angle 1, I'll help you. Angle 1 forms a straight line with angle 2. Angle 1 and angle 2 are linear pairs. Does everyone see how that is a fact? Angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. Together, when they're formed, they form an upside down T and a straight line together, which creates 180 degrees. Let's look at angle 2. Angle 2, and what other angle is also a straight line? Angle 3. And angle 3. All right, then we're going to look at angle 3. Angle 3 and angle
4.
Angle 4. They form a straight line. And then last, angle 4 and angle 1. All right, so all of these are linear pairs because they form a straight line. So 1 and 2, they add up to 180. 2 and 3, they add up to 180. Here's the fun part. Okay, it's kind of like a puzzle. If you liked puzzles as a kid, you might like this. Let's say the number 40. Let's make life easy. Okay? Because I know one of these angles, I know all of them. What do I know about vertical angles? Like one, man, it pauses every time that my iPad's dying. So every time it tells me it's dying, it pauses. Identify all the linear pairs and all the vertical angles. So linear pairs, what should I be looking for? I told you, an upside down T. All right, so here's what you want to do. You want to identify the completely straight lines that go through a common vertex. So looking at this one, do you see how it stops at 4? Okay. It's not a straight line, not a completely straight line. All right, so what you would need to look for is like this one. I just highlighted in green. You see how it goes completely straight through angle 4?
Yes.
So we'd want to see linear pairs. We'd want to see if there's an angle that makes up that line. So linear pair. Are there two angles that create this straight line together? I'm going to tell you yes. And it's 1 and 4. Do you see how this is more like a sideways T, I guess? I'm just not going to be able to draw that. So angle 1 and 4, those are a linear pair. Linear pair, what's the root of that word? Line. Okay, so they come together and they form that straight line. On the other side, so I don't know what you want to call it, this side of the angle, how many angles are there? 3. But how many shoes do you have in a pair of shoes?
2.
2. All right, so you don't have a linear pair on the other side of this straight line. So from here, we want to look at our other straight line, which is this one. On the top, how many angles are there?
3.
3 on the bottom, how many angles are there?
2.
There are 2 angles. All right, so are they a linear pair?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Linear pairs form that straight line, so angle 4 and angle 5. All right, vertical angles are formed by, you'll want to look for an X. You also want to look for 2 completely straight lines. Okay? So I just outlined my 2 completely straight lines. All right? And then I need to find angles across from each other. So if we looked at 1, what angle is directly across from 1? 5. Angle 5. If I looked at, so just did those. If I look at angle 4, is there one angle directly across from angle 4? No. Okay, there are 2 of them. So it's not a vertical angle. The only ones that we can name are 1 and 5. Okay, good. All right, so you're going to look at your frequently asked questions. We're going to answer them. They're at the bottom of your notes. These are very good questions to remember because I'm going to take them. I'm going to put them on your quiz. No joke. Complementary angles look like a?
90 degree.
T.
Right angle.
A T.
Right angle.
Upside down T.
90.
Complementary angles look like a corner.
Oh.
Corner.
Yeah.
Vertical angles look like a V because vertical starts with the letter V. Corner starts with the letter C. Complementary starts with the letter C. Supplementary.
Me. That wrong.
Supplementary looks like straight. Straight line, straight angle. All right. What is the difference between complementary non-adjacent and complementary adjacent? What does non-adjacent mean?
They don't share a wall.
They don't share a wall. So go ahead and write that. Non-adjacent don't share a wall. So adjacent do share a wall. All right, what does our next one say? What is the difference between supplementary angles and linear pairs? I did say this in class. Does anybody remember?
No.
It's the 4th one. What is the difference between supplementary angles and linear pairs?
Oh, it was 180. Pairs
They're
are
both
2.
180.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Supplementary angles can be adjacent or non-adjacent. Linear pairs have to be adjacent. So supplementary, so you want to be writing this down. Supplementary can be adjacent or non-adjacent, whereas linear pairs can only be adjacent. So supplementary can be adjacent or non-adjacent. Linear pairs can only be adjacent. What is the similarity between the 2 of them? They both add up to 180. They both add up to 180. Once you do that, you want to, I'm going to hand out the paper that you're going to get. There will be extras. Leave it on the back table. I'll explain what we're doing. Okay?
Wow.
So take one, leave it on the back table. Leave the extras on the back table. We got to hustle. I want to show you. We got 4 minutes left. Come on, come on, come on. They both add up to 180. All right, so flip it to the back. Just right there is fine. That back table is fine. Flip it to the very back of that worksheet. Okay, very back. I want you to draw this. Okay, there are 3 columns. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rows. 3 columns, 7 rows. Go, come on. So you're drawing this on the back. This will help you identify things. Doesn't have to look pretty. We literally have like 2 minutes left, and I need to still explain what your homework is.
Hey, here's your enrollment forms and everything for all of your benefits, so if you get that done. If you want to contribute to the 403B, you could go online, Fresco.com, and do that. And then
Johnson.
email me and tell me you want to contribute 5% or whatever, or I don't want to contribute anything. And if you get that done until tomorrow, I would be my best friend.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Do you want to be your best friend?
Recording.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to make me say things. Okay. All right, you gotta hustle. It doesn't have to look beautiful. It's just gonna help you on your homework. Come on, come on, come on. Oh my gosh, Javian. Move, move, move. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Wyatt. Look at that. Adjacent angles. They look like they share a wall. So you want to write down they look like they share a wall. All right, the measure, not applicable, meaning there is really no, they don't add up to 180, they don't add up to 90, they don't equal each other, like they literally have no relationship, okay? Adjacent angles, they share a wall. Non-adjacent angles, guess what they don't share a wall. And again, there's no, not applicable, there's no measurement with them. Not applicable, yes. It can be not available, just depending on what it says. All right, focus. We can talk about it in a minute. We got this to do. Complementary angles. What does it look like? Corner. A corner. And what's the measure? They add, nope, they're not 90. They add up to 90. Okay, don't just tell me 90 degrees. They add up to 90. Because what angle is 90 degrees? A right angle. Complementary angles are not 90. They add up to 90. Supplementary, what does it look like? Straight. Straight line, straight angle. And they add up to 180. Oh, nope, this should not be adjacent. This should actually be vertical. Vertical angles. Sorry if you already wrote that. I made this right before your class, so just to help you. Okay, that's why I'm doing it. Not to give you more to write, but to actually help you. Okay? Vertical angles, you want to look for the letter V. All right, they're across from each other. All right, so they could be sideways like I just drew. All right, but you look for the V, and they're across from each other. What do you know about vertical angles? They're congruents. I know, you just learned all of this in one day. I know, we're almost done. Linear pair. Linear pair, you look for that upside down T. This is the time you have the most between classes. Not that I want to take that from you, I'm just trying to help you. What do you know about linear pairs?
Straight line.
What's their measure? They add up to 180. Okay? So on your paper, I'm going to explain what you're going to be doing. Okay? This is to help you. Okay? This is not really any math. This is just to show if you know these angles. So look at the paper. Look at the following figures and identify. I'm not going to talk over you. Look at the paper. Look at the following figures and identify the pairs of angles that they represent. Some of the figures represented more than one type of a pair of angles, the list that apply. underline this. Decisions should not only be made on how the figures look. So again, underline. Decisions should not only be made on how the figures look, but also what information is given. So in bold it says, keep in mind any information given outweighs how a figure looks. So the first thing that you want to do, okay, hopefully you've written this down. First thing that you want to do, if you look at number 1, I'm going to do it with you super quick. You want to decide if it's adjacent or non-adjacent, okay? Adjacent means they share a wall. Non-adjacent means that they don't. Number 1, do they share a wall? No. A wall would mean like 36 would be here, and 36 is here. So they don't share a wall, so non-adjacent. Now we need to decide if they're complementary. Complementary means they add up to 90. If you add 36 and 36, do they add up to 90? No. Supplementary, do those two add up to 180? Linear pair, do they add up to 180? No, and they're not even together. Vertical angles, are they vertical? Yes, so you'd write NV. Okay, that's how you do all of these. You need to decide, are they adjacent or non-adjacent? And then decide from there, okay? Bring this back tomorrow. Have a good day.
What's today's date?